Guys, I spoke about in my last video about this trauma. There's a certain trauma that is plaguing South Africans, and it's something I'm beginning to realize, getting deeper and deeper the more I understand this beautiful nation of South Africa. So this is all happening in the air, all right? The plane FlySafair airline all the way to Cape Town is miles above sea level, and this whole conflagration is actually taking place in the air as the plane is actually trying to really, get its passengers safely, happening between this SABC executive. She's actually an SABC brand manager, all right, an employee of the mighty SABC, South African Broadcasting Corporation, and the air hostess is on flight SA, really getting into a violent, aggressive altercation between both of them, as everyone watching, had no other option than to take videos and post to TikToks, and there are tens of videos on TikTok actually capturing the multiple angles of this whole ANC members brawl on the air. She actually argues in the video that she's an ANC bitch. She actually challenges the flight air hostess if they know who her father is. She's actually trying to show the air hostess and the people in the plane that she's a really important South African and she shouldn't be messed with on the air, as the plane is actually miles above sea level. Let's quickly listen and watch this altercation, and I'll be going in depth on who this person, this SABC employee, who she really is, and why this whole thing went down the way it did, in a really dangerous manner in South Africa.
Do you hear me? And then you will be fired. Oh, you think I'm not a mystery shopper? I'm the mystery shopper of this place. You don't even know. You think you're one from this area? Hey! Why are you touching me like that on your back? Serve me right now. Serve me my training. I didn't bring it home. Exactly. Thank you. And then come and serve me. Come and serve me. Thank you. What did I do wrong? Why didn't she serve me? Just because she's watching you. I've had my family, and let's move on. Okay. She has no rights. Okay. No rights. Black people in this country have a problem of shutting up. But if I was white, then it would be like, serve me. Thank you. Yes. You cannot do this. Okay, do you have a machine? Restraint. You cannot do this. All of you are unemployed as of tomorrow. You don't even know who my father is. Jesus Christ. If you can't just do that, fuck off. Fuck off. Go do your job and safety. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone, guys. On a serious note. No, but look, there's my police. That's my lawyer. Who are you?
No, sit down. Sit down. Hey, don't sit down. I'm sitting. Don't touch me. Okay? Don't fucking touch me. Okay? Get off me. I said get off me.
Yeah, so it's quite a sad one, really sad. And you know, the end of the video is actually something many people actually really miss, because it appears that she's actually, if the truth is that she's not drunk or she's not intoxicated, all right. So this was an experiment she actually had to prove that black people are actually trash. This was her own hypothesis, which she tried to carry out in this experiment to test, you know, the validity of her claims inwardly, and how black people would actually treat a fellow black person and probably a white person, because you could hear in the video clearly she spoke about that if she was white. Okay, so it says that the whole thing actually started that when she decided to be ordered to be served a drink, and this other black lady, for me as an outsider, a Nigerian, really getting to understand my fellow brothers and sisters in South Africa, all I see are black people, all right? But now with deeper research, I've come to realize that, you know, the coloreds and the blacks, they really see themselves in a different light. And I'll be making a really series of interesting videos about, you know, the racial divide and how the Indians took off following the whites in South Africa, leaving the coloreds and the blacks behind in the development of things as a result of some policies that the Indian community made in 1953 that actually changed the trajectory of the Indian South Africans, you know, going forward. And so for me as an outsider, what I would expect would be much more love and, you know, cooperation between the coloreds and the blacks, you know, to really try to see themselves as one people, you know, that have actually, because of policies, structural violence, economic violence, you know, from the apartheid, from the transition from the apartheid regime all the way to democracy, working together to elevate themselves. But it's really shocking, you know, how I see this kind of altercation between both of them that could actually have put the entire lives of all these people I see, you know, on this flight, white, black, colored, Indians. They all could have been in a mess, if possible, in a plane crash, you know, if things had actually gone sour with the way I see things, all right? And so this is why these kinds of really racial divides are really important for all South Africans to really understand and work together to try to really help, you know, bridge these gaps that have caused these differences, racial differences, structural differences, economic inequalities among all the races. Okay, but let's begin. Who is this lady? All right, this lady actually, in a News 24 interview which she had, she actually said on this interview here that she's speaking now. She said, "I was not drunk. I was sober as a judge." And it says that flight SAFair passenger threatens to sue the airline. And that's a picture with she and her boyfriend. I think the caption here says that Nobuntu Mkhize and her boyfriend before boarding the flight from Durban to Cape Town. And you know, the boyfriend actually looks really young. He's actually the one I felt the most when I was watching the video, because he felt like he really didn't want to be there. You could see he felt so embarrassed, you see, you know, being in the middle of this whole divide, and at the end of the day, probably didn't even want to be exposed as the boyfriend of, you know, of Mkhize's, you know, because she actually, you know, from my perspective, seeing, she really looks in a way sort of like really mature. And although I know South African men have really interesting builds up and genes, so to speak, especially the blacks or the coloreds, because when I see in my last video, if you see you know, the lady that was shot by the police officer, the father of the lady, you could see how well built and really looks it doesn't look like probably one who would be the father of someone who would be like a 22-year-old, you know, within this whole divide. So I could argue that probably this guy might actually be close to her age. I think she's about in her 40s thereabout, but you could see that in the videos he really didn't want to be there, all right? He felt embarrassed, all right? And so he had to jump in at some point to really stop the other passengers who were trying to really pin down this SABC executive, all right? But she argued that she wasn't drunk, okay? And if you see in the last clip I made, she actually spoke, like, you know, in what appears to be in a clear-mindedness, saying that, you know, she's an ANC bitch, and that she really wanted to conduct a test, so to speak, to really see how black people would react, and that, you know, black people are, she even used the F word to describe the black people, so to speak, as if probably she wasn't a black person. She was wearing a mask, like, you know, Fanon speaks about black skins and white masks. So It's interesting anyway. But anyway, I tried to really look up who she is. On Facebook, she goes by the name Nobs Mkise Nobuntu, and she actually has locked her profile. I think it was actually bombed, with comments and all that. So it's actually locked. And it's really interesting that on her profile she also has a scripture there from the Bible. Obviously she's actually a Christian. So she says that Psalm 23, Psalm 91, and Psalm 103. She said, "I live, I'm blessed, and I'm thankful." Okay, so this is actually who she is, going forward. She actually believes, sort of allegedly from these, captions here, to be a Christian. On Instagram as well, her account is private. We're not able to see much more of her life, you see. But she also has this scriptures, Psalm 23, Psalm 91, and 103. She also has words from Mandela saying that it seems impossible until it's done. So it's actually on Instagram where you see much more of her experience. She's a brand manager of SABC, and she actually just got employed on SABC August this year. So in August 2024, she began her job in the city of Johannesburg, SABC, Gauteng, South Africa, from August 2024 till present. So she has actually only spent 5 months in SABC as an employee of SABC, and this whole thing has actually made caused her go viral in what might not necessarily be a positive light, but also pulling down the name and the image, a reputation of SABC as a really deep, important broadcasting station in Africa, not even just South Africa, but Africa as a whole. But she also has a really long, experience working as a marketing manager in Johannesburg, and also a marketing manager. She also has worked as a brand manager. She actually has worked also as a sponsorship and activation specialist, marketing manager, promotions manager, events coordinator, consumer relations amplifier, and school. And she actually schooled, in the University of Cape Town. She actually also has a diploma in the School of Art. So she's really School of Advertising. So you can see she's really well educated, all right? So this is not just somebody who is just sort of like what we would call a riffraff going on a racist rant. This is an educated personnel as an executive, a brand manager for SABC. But anyway, SABC's response to this unfortunate incident actually was posted online on SABC's channel, website. It says that, the SABC regrets this incident and always encourages staff members to uphold SABC's values and respect and integrity for all its interactions. It says that in the video clip, the staff member mentions the SABC and states that this incident will be broadcast on SABC News. That SABC is saying that we would like to reiterate that SABC News is guided by the editorial code and maintains its editorial independence and, all of that. So in other words, SABC is actually distancing itself, from this lady. Even though it has actually been given employment to this lady is a staff of the SABC, but SABC has actually distanced itself, just like the ANC as well. The ANC also had a report, I think, that also showed kind of like that it's investigating the membership of this lady, and is also in a way distancing itself from her conduct, as we could see here. So I found some really interesting comprehensive reports as well. And here on this website, briefly, I thought it was really interesting to really go through. It says that Nobuntu Mkiza claims that she was not drunk during the altercation on a Flight SA flight, and the SABC employee is threatening to sue both the airline and the police following the incident. So she really wants to sue them. In this video, you could see that she was actually taking the names of the staff, these air hostesses. She was taking their names and asking them who they are and what they do, and maybe she would be, suing, bringing up their names in a court, docket, so to speak, where they will be sued and made to answer for the whole incident, so to speak. It says that Nobuntu Mkize is actually threatening to sue both FlySafair and the South African police. So she wants to sue both the flight service and also South African police service. So Senzumchunu might actually be pulled into this. It says that the 43-year-old, she's actually 43-year-old, who is at the center of a now viral incident that took place on the 26th. It took place on Boxing Day, all right? it says that she's unhappy with the treatment she claimed she received from police and also from the airline. It says that the SABC employee was caught on camera fighting with FlySafair crew members, demanding to be served a drink. All right, so she wanted a drink, and it appears, I don't know, for some reason, the flight air hostess just refused to serve her a glass of drink. It says that initial reports about the incident stated that the 43-year-old was allegedly drunk, something she has actually denied. If you remember the News 24 report I started with, she actually said that she wasn't drunk, but she was as sober as a judge. All right, so she actually denies that she was drunk. In all this altercation, she actually maintains the fact that she wasn't drunk, and this was her normal way of responding to incidents and issues that actually come up probably in her life. So, but speaking to News 24, she actually said that, she only had a whiskey before the flight and that she was not drunk. And if you remember the video, the picture I had with she and her boyfriend, just, some minutes probably to boarding on the plane. So she's actually speaking here. She said, we checked in and then decided to go to the slow lounge. All right, so she's speaking about she and her boyfriend. They had actually gotten to the airport, checked in their luggage, checked in everything they needed to check in, and we're now on the way to go to a slow lounge to probably have a food or drink. So she said at the lounge we ate quickly and we had one drink, which was the whiskey. So it was at the lounge she had the whiskey. All right, she then said that we realized that we were running late, and then we went and boarded the plane. When we got inside the plane, I was not drunk. I was sober as a judge. All right. So that's her claim. So now, according to her, what happened? She said that the FlySafair air hostesses were really rude. She claimed that she got upset when the flight attendant refused to serve her a drink, saying that, she didn't understand why. And during her interview with News 24, she claimed that she was asking about their cool drinks when the cabin crew member said she was annoying in isiXhosa. All right, so the cabin crew member actually, in a language that wasn't English, said that she was annoying, and so that's what really got her mad. So she said, that's when I said, excuse me, because I did not understand why she would not serve me. She then added that the crew would not listen to her side of the story. And in a response to a question about some of her statements made during the heated argument, Mkize, she said that she said she only said some things because she was being undermined. All right, so this appears to have been a case of how she felt really undermined. She felt disrespected by a fellow black-colored, dark-skinned person. All right, and that's why, if you remember in the video, she said if she was white, she wouldn't have been treated the way she was being treated. So she just felt really disrespected, and then she took it out on the air hostess. So she's speaking. She said that if I was white, they would have not treated me the way they treated me. Although I do not condone it, I said some of the things I said because they were undermining me since I am black. All right. She also said, I want to sue both SAPs as well as the airline, Finish and Klar. All right. So it appears that she's really on the what we would call a boisterous side of things in the financial space. Okay, because to sue an airline, I would suspect that would really be an expensive endeavor in South Africa, and especially the fact that she actually claimed that her father was really an important personality. So probably she would be leaning on probably the father's wealth. I don't know, but I decided to go deeper to really see who her father was. All right, and I found this really interesting post. I think it's really dependable on Twitter to really understand. Asante Mokua, representing Asante on boards, and she actually has a really descriptive character of this Nobuntu Mkize, who is 43 and a brand manager at South African Broadcasting Corporation. All right, so she said she was born in Pietermaritzburg, KwaZulu Natal, KZN, and she attended St. John Diocesan School for Girls, where she graduated with an IEB metric distinction, and that she went to earn a bachelor's degree in film media marketing from the University of Johannesburg, and also obtained a diploma in AAA School of Advertising. All right, but who was her father? Since she claims that these guys do not know who her father was, who was her father? For me, that's really important to understand. So this post says that her father, the late Kaba Mkize, was a towering figure in South African journalism and in the liberation struggle. Posthumously awarded by the presidency for his excellent contribution to the field of journalism and the liberation struggle, Mkhize was a fearless writer who used his pen to expose apartheid injustices, holding oppressive lawmakers to account. It says that the respected veteran journalist Mkhize led the Pietermaritzburg-based Echo newspaper from 1985 all the way to 1991. So this is years before 1994. It says that during the height of the violent civil war in KwaZulu-Natal Midlands, and that was a role that was considered one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, to be this kind of journalist covering the, sort of like what was called the civil war in KwaZulu-Natal during this period, 85 to 91. Then later he worked as an assistant editor of the Natal Witness and regional manager of the SABC in KwaZulu-Natal. So in other words, her father has also worked in SABC, and she actually was planning to continue in the footsteps of her father, all right, and being employed in SABC only in August 2024 this year. It's really interesting how the SABC would respond to this, if they would keep her as an employee or if she will be fired because of this. It's really interesting. We'll keep on following this story to see how it goes. But anyway, it says that her father's legacy is one of bravery, mentorship, and deep commitment to building a better society through Ubuntu. And his mentorship produced a generation of courageous journalists and thinkers, while his writings told the raw truth about township violence and apartheid atrocities. So I think probably I'll go read up his some of his books and really understand. But I don't know if probably this lady has actually made her father proud with this incident, because you see, life is really one has to be really careful in life. Just a moment's incident, a viral moment, could actually decide, how far one's career could go and how much people speak about the legacy of another person. And so now her actions in about 5, 6, 7 minutes of altercation have actually pulled many now to start questioning or start really going back to understand the legacy of her father and match that with her own behavior today. And so I think that's really unfortunate, as a SABC staff, but also what she calls an ANC bitch, because I really don't understand where that comes from. What's the meaning? What's the meaning of an ANC bitch? I think even many ANC members, President Ramaphosa, might be really confused with what that statement means. But anyway, to wrap up, I found a really comprehensive blog spot also that tries to really analyze how this whole thing has gone down and what's really going to happen about it. So on TVT blog, news, it actually says that she was apparently drunk. According to this report, says that this lady was apparently drunk and racist and unruly, and also the fact that with all these characters, she was a staff of SABC. It says that she's an SABC brand manager, Nobuntu Mkhize, who referred to herself as an ANC bitch. All right, and she was handcuffed, arrested, and banned from FlySafair after disrupting a flight from Durban to Cape Town of the South African airline and causing mid-flight chaos. This was really dangerous for me because I've been following the stories of the Azerbaijan Air plane crash that actually took place last week, and also this week I think a South Korean Jeju airline crash that claimed lives. So immediately I saw this, I was really worried and really hoped that this wouldn't have ended up in a really sad news again from South Africa. But anyway, the news says that in multiple videos taken by several different passengers and shared on various social media, the seemingly drunk Nobuntu Mkhize can be seen being aggressive, racist, and physically touching and fighting with flight attendants and even throwing other passengers with a drink after FlySafair decided not to give her liquor. All right, I don't know why they decided not to give her this drink she demanded for. Probably she was already acting drunk or exhibiting behaviors of someone who had actually been drunk, and so giving more to her would have been jeopardizing the whole space within the airline, and probably the air hostesses were trying to really avoid that. But at the end of the day, it blew up in their faces into what is now a viral moment. It says that Nobuntu Mkhize started screaming, "You don't know who my father is," and as if her father entitles her to different treatment and rules in South Africa. He says the woman also screamed that her story would be on SABC News. She also said, "I am an ANC bitch." The woman is also seen saying to someone, "You are a colored from Mitchell's Plain. All these gold rings, but no degree. Right now, when we land, I'm going to take a Uber home. You don't even have a driver's license. You don't even have a car." So that was the kind of like racist slur she was actually branding to this air hostess, who apparently would, I think, is a colored person, and she being black, you know, accepting her blackness, but you know, insulting a colored for being poor and all of that. Okay, so it says that this woman now was eventually handcuffed on board, and Flight SA spokesperson Kirby Gordon says that the apparently drunk woman was arrested when the Fly SA plane landed in Cape Town on 26 December, and she also appeared in court. It says that FlySafair has also banned her from ever flying with the airline again, and the South African Police Service SAP says that more charges will be added over Nobuntu Mkize's conduct, like crime injuria as well as assault. All right, so she might be going to, you know, maybe jail. I don't know how long, but she will be charged with assault, because we could see physically that she was challenging the air hostess, and physically as well. So that's that she actually could land in serious trouble with that. But anyway, that's how it goes. And for me, what was really interesting also is the fact that, you know, at the end of the video, you could see how she was truly trying to show her bitterness towards black people. All right. And for me, it's really interesting because she being black as well, and also ANC, you know, I think that's the culmination of the whole video, that she wanted to, according to her, she wanted to carry out a test, an experiment, to show how empty, or probably how inferior blacks treat each other. And so that was her experiment to show this, and at the end of the day, you could hear her use the F word on black people. And so for me, it's really interesting, this whole turn in events, especially to end this festive season in South Africa, because this incident has actually blown up on social media, and I think this is one memory that South Africans would take into the new year, in trying to really question the ANC, but also the SABC as a broadcasting channel, you know, in the kind of employees it has, and all of that. Really sad, really unfortunate. But I don't know, what do you guys think about this? We don't want this video to get so long. Share your thoughts in the comments.